Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll speak with Judy Woodruff. She and the late Gwen Ifill are this year's recipients of the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism. Also tonight, we'll hear from the author of a new book on the Colorado River, and we'll check out a unique photography exhibit. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism is presented each year by ASU's Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Today it was announced that this year's recipients are Judy Woodruff and the late Gwen Ifill, co-anchors and managing editors of the PBS NewsHour. Earlier we spoke to Judy Woodruff about the award, her career, and working with Gwen Ifill. Judy, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the honor.
Thank you, Ted. It's great to be with you, and I am incredibly touched. What an extraordinary thing to have this connection with Arizona State, with public broadcasting in Arizona, and to receive it on behalf of both Gwen and me. It's just incredibly moving.
And again, this is the Walter Cronkite Award. Your memories of Walter Cronkite?
Well, I didn't know him well. He came along in broadcasting a little earlier than I did, but I did have the good fortune to cross paths with him a few times over the years. And once I actually had the experience of interviewing him. And the thing about Walter Cronkite is that he was exactly the same in person that he was on television. He was that avuncular Uncle Walter, or I guess some people called him Grandfather Walter. But he was warm, he was engaging, he loved journalism, he loved television news all those years. There was nothing phony, there was nothing fake about the man. And you know, what people like to say about Walter Cronkite, it was the voice, he had the voice of authority. He had that voice in person. When you talked to Walter Cronkite and you met him, he sounded exactly the same way. He was somebody you wanted to believe. And I mean, it's no mistake that he is revered as much today as he was when he was on the CBS Evening News.
Indeed, I think it defines avuncular. Your thoughts on sharing this award with Gwen Ifill?
Well, Gwen and I were not only co-anchors and great colleagues here at the PBS NewsHour, but we were good friends. I had known Gwen for a number of years when I rejoined the NewsHour back in 2007. And we came to work closely together, and at some point along the way, we were asked to become co-anchors of the NewsHour. And we realized we were making history. We were going to be the first two women to co-anchor a national evening broadcast in the country. And you know, we thought that was pretty special. And the great thing about it was, and Gwen and I said this often, is we always knew that each of us had the other's back. I mean, I knew in Gwen that I was working with one of the most extraordinary, talented, deeply reported, deeply sourced journalists in this city of Washington, who was respected by everybody. So I knew when I worked on a story, if I was sitting there with Gwen at a convention or on election night, that if I was searching for what to do, that Gwen would pick it up and keep going. And she knew that she could count on me as well. So losing Gwen has left a big hole in all of our hearts here at the NewsHour, but she leaves a legacy that is important to the work we do here every day. She stood for the best in journalism. She stood for fairness. She stood for accuracy, for getting it right. And that's what we're all about every day. So Gwen will always be an inspiration to us. She'll always be part of the NewsHour family.
And Judy, you've been an inspiration to a lot of people as well, especially a lot of women that got into journalism back in the days when it wasn't quite so common, when the idea of two women hosting a national newscast like the PBS NewsHour wasn't even thinkable. I mean, you were one of the boys on the bus for the Carter campaign, for his presidential campaign. Talk about the challenges you've faced and what you tell other journalists, especially women, about the business?
Well, you're absolutely right. We're going back to ancient history here. If we're going back to the Jimmy Carter campaign in 1976, but that is where I cut my teeth in American national politics. I had covered local politics in Georgia, before that in Atlanta, but that campaign in '76 was where I cut my teeth. And there weren't very many women around. There were enough, you could count on the fingers of one hand how many reporters there were who were out on the bus or on the campaign plane. And I think we banded together because we knew that we needed to support each other in what we were doing. And we knew that we were pioneers. And we all worked as hard, if not harder, than everybody else, because we all felt, we can't afford to fail. We've got to get it right, because people are watching us. There may have been one woman on the campaign trail, say, for each television network. And same thing with the newspapers. There were one or maybe two women at most with the newspapers. So we knew we were kind of tokens, I guess you could call it that. But we knew that we were being watched, and it was important that we do our jobs well. And we felt that we took our work really seriously. Fast forward, where are we, 40, however many years we are later, and there's so many more women today on camera, behind the camera, as news editors, writers, operating cameras, making decisions about programs, stories, as editors, producers, and all those positions that count when you decide what goes into a newscast. So women have come a very long way. I still think we need to do a better job of putting women in management. We're very blessed here at the NewsHour to have a woman as our executive producer, Sarah Just, who is a leader for all of us here. But not every news organization, I think, has as many women making decisions as I think there should be. And so that's where I think we still could use some progress. But there's no question we have come a very long way.
Has journalism come a very long way? We are inundated with fake news, with social media. We've got a political climate there in D.C. You're surrounded by it. Almost every 10 minutes there's a breaking story in one way, shape, or form. What do you see regarding journalism now? What do you see regarding the future of journalism? I'm
sure you're not referring to the new administration in Washington.
No, not at all.
As we sit here in April of 2017. No, it's changed any which way you look at it. The technology has changed. I mean, we've gone from having an evening news and maybe a morning news to having news around the clock on television, and news online available all the time, news on social media that allows people everywhere to participate and to report at times and to give their opinions. So we swim in a sea of news, if you will, and it's our job, I think, more than ever. It's more important than ever that we who practice journalism do our job of figuring out what matters, what's right, and separating the right from the wrong, the correct from the incorrect. And maybe more important than anything, Ted, figuring out what matters, what stories belong at the top of the newscast, what stories can we afford to leave out? Because you're right, every day we are bombarded. I sometimes refer to it as a fire hose of news every day. We are making decisions about what to put on the news program literally until until we go on the air. So all that experience that we have, it's never been more important than ever that we bring that to bear, and that we keep in mind our solemn obligation to the American people, to everybody who's watching or reading us anywhere, that we will give it our all, that we'll give it our best, and that we will not lean one way or another. We won't lean when it comes to opinion, unless it's clearly labeled as that, and that we'll report the news, I like to say, without fear and without favor. And that we do that day in and day out. It's not easier than ever. I guess you could argue it's harder than it's ever been, but it's more challenging. In many ways, it's more interesting, and it's more important than it's ever been. So journalists, you can throw all the slings and arrows you want at reporters, but in my opinion, they are an important piece of what holds our democracy together And it's really important that they keep on doing their job, that we keep on doing our job every day.
All right. Well, you have done an excellent job for such a long time. Just congratulations again. It's a great award, the Cronkite Award, along with Gwen Ifill. Judy Woodruff, congratulations.
Thank you, Ted. I've enjoyed it, and it's an incredible honor. Thank you.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
New Yorker magazine staff writer David Owen is out with a new book that focuses on the Colorado River. The book is titled Where the Water Goes, Life and Death Along the Colorado River, and it looks at the patchwork of engineering marvels and legal agreements that enable life to flourish here in Arizona and much of the Southwest. We welcome David Owen to Arizona Horizon. We should mention you're going to be changing hands tonight.
That's right.
In Tempe. It'll be a lively crowd, I'm sure.
So.
What did you know of the Colorado River before you wrote this book?
I grew up in Kansas City, so I spent a lot of time thinking about other places, and Colorado was one of the places that I thought about, and spent a lot of time whenever I could within the drainage basin of the Colorado River. I was interested in water. Water's a growing issue globally, and following a river from start to finish seemed like a good way to try to understand it better. And the Colorado is the ideal subject for a study like that because it's pretty long, but it's not too long. The Mississippi's 1,000 miles longer. And we use it all up. It doesn't get all the way to the end. It starts in Colorado and Wyoming, and it ends not very far over the border into Mexico.
Is that still the case? Does it still peter out before getting to the Sea of Cortez?
It does. Historically, it formed a huge delta across part of Mexico, a lush wetland, and it hasn't gotten there very often since the 1960s, and only once since the 1990s.
Yeah. Talk about prior appropriation and what that means, because that is a big, I mean, reading this book, it is amazing who gets to do what and why.
Yeah. Western water law is, you could fall into it and disappear. And I read a very useful book called Colorado Water Law for Non-Lawyers. And there were parts of it where it helped if you were the kind of non-lawyer who happened to have gone to law school. But it's very interesting in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world. If you live next to a body of water, if you're a property owner next to a body of water, you have a right to some of that water. Not so in the West. In the West, much of the West, your right is governed by when you started taking that water and what you use it for. And the system that evolved beginning with the gold rush is called first in time, first in right. The first person to make beneficial use of water from a stream gains the right to use that water for that purpose forever.
And that is still the basis for water law?
Yeah, the different states handle it differently, but that's the theme throughout the West.
Throughout the Colorado, for sure.
Throughout the basin of the Colorado River, yes, that's right.
What about American Indians?
When the 7 states that border the river or its tributaries divided up the river in 1922, and they only at the insistence of Herbert Hoover, who was the Secretary of Commerce at that time, did they even mention the tribes, one sentence. But it still remains an unresolved issue, and it's true in Arizona. Arizona is a good example. You know, the priority claim, the tribes of the United States, you would think would have a priority claim to all the water on the continent, and but it's all still being worked out.
You mentioned the original compact in 1922. That was, you write, based on some pretty wet years.
Yes, unfortunately, when the states divided up the river among themselves, they based their division on hydrological studies that turned out to be inaccurate. They were accurate for the time, maybe, but it turned out that the early 20th century was the wettest year since the 1400s. And so they were dividing up water that wasn't actually there and hasn't been there since. And that's why in the West, you have, among water lawyers, you have paper water, which is water that people theoretically have a legal right to take, and wet water, which is what you and I think of as water.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more paper water than there is wet water, even in wet years.
And at the time, a place like Las Vegas They had, what, 80,000 people were living in Las Vegas when this compact was signed?
When the compact was signed, they didn't even have 5,000. It took years to work out there. It was more like 80,000 when they finally came to deciding what Nevada's.
Nevada was 80,000. Vegas hardly existed.
Yeah,
There you go.
And there was nobody. I don't think even Nevada in there. It took so long to come to the number that by then, but still it was nothing. As a result, Las Vegas doesn't have a very large share of Colorado River.
Well, I was going to say the impact of hydrologists getting it kind of wrong here because of the wet years and not foreseeing some of the boom towns that would arise. Overall impact of that.
Well, it's been big because for years people treated the river as though it contained a lot more water than it does. And when they made the initial division, they did it by percentages instead of by volumes, which is another problem. For much of the 20th century, it didn't make any difference because we hadn't figured out how to pull out all the water from the river. But in recent years, we have. And especially in the southern part, in Arizona, California is the major user. And then the difficulties have been magnified by drought in the West over the past, back to the turn of the millennium.
And thus we get to conservation. And this is a running theme throughout your book. Irrigation improvements, for example. Irrigation improvements can increase net water use. Explain that.
It's an interesting concept, and it takes a while to explain. But the simplest idea is that if you imagine a water main crossing your yard, and it's leaking, so you're losing water, you're paying for water that you're not getting. So you repair the pipe, and now you feel as though you've become more efficient. You're getting more gallons for your dollar. But the tree in your yard dies because it turns out that leakage was what was keeping the tree alive, and now that you're not wasting that water, the tree is gone. Similar kinds of difficulties arise when farmers make their irrigation more efficient. Often it turns out that the water that they were wasting was replenishing groundwater, was returning to streams and being used by other people. There's some huge examples especially down at the very southern end of the river. There's a canal that carries water from the Colorado River to the Imperial Valley Irrigation District in Southern California. That canal was dug across desert. It leaked lots and lots of water. And so recently, much of the canal has been lined with concrete so that water doesn't leak anymore. But as soon as it stopped, a wetland just over the border in Mexico dried up, and farmers on that side of the border who had depended on that water no longer had it. So it wasn't really like saving water. We moved water from one side of the border to the other. And,
right. And if you save water, that means water has been saved. Let's go find other ways to use water. It's available now.
This is always true with efficiencies of all kinds. The long-term, the net effect is always, what do we do with what we save? It's true with energy too. If you get much better about turning off your lights, and your electric bill goes down, and then you spend the savings on a trip to Europe, as my wife and I did. You've transmuted natural gas into jet fuel.
Interesting. Speaking of interesting, you mentioned John Wesley Powell, obviously a very major character as far as the Grand Canyon, Colorado is concerned. Emphatic warning back in 1893, there's not enough water to irrigate the West. How did that go over?
It did not go over. He was booed when he talked about that. He was very far-sighted. He was a visionary when it came to water use. In some ways, we've proved him wrong. We've been so ingenious at moving water around the West that we've actually irrigated a lot of places that Powell would never have believed. But in the big picture, he was right about. You can't in a dry land grow forever just by pumping water out of your resources. And we're much closer to limits than we were at that time.
It sounds like a couple of curiosities you write about. Removing salt from Colorado River does cause earthquakes?
The Colorado River is salty to begin with, and it gets saltier as it flows south. And there's one place in particular in the valley of the Dolores River where the Colorado flows over, or the Dolores flows over, what's really a salt dome left by ancient seas. And in order to deal with that salt, we drill deep into the ground and inject salty, briny groundwater into the ground, and it it causes earthquakes, lots of little ones.
Yeah, little
no huge ones.
Yeah. It's also interesting the Hoover Dam was so big that people thought it would throw the Earth off the orbit. I thought that was fascinating. But we have to, unfortunately, wrap it up. Through all of this, though, such a well-written, such an interesting book, the biggest challenge, we get through all of this, and the biggest challenge of the Colorado River, you write, is Northern California?
It's interesting. The California depends very heavily on water from the Colorado River in Southern California. And that part of the state also depends very heavily on water from the northern part of the state. And that northern supply is more threatened just from the infrastructure that carries it. If something goes wrong there, an earthquake, rising sea levels that cause saltwater intrusions into what's in effect the junction box, then Colorado becomes even more California becomes even more dependent on water that people in Arizona would probably just as soon have for themselves.
So watch out for the Sacramento River.
Watch out, yep, watch out for the Bay Delta. Keep your eye, Arizona's been very good at this, keeping their eye on California.
Yes.
Don't stop.
Yeah. Last question, is there hope for the Colorado River?
I think there is, and one thing to always keep in mind is that here in the United States, we don't have resource problems on the same scale. There are parts of the world that are far beyond anything that we have to deal with. We've also shown, both in relationships among the states and in relationships between the United States and Mexico, that we're capable of addressing really complicated problems with some ingenuity. The good thing about water is that if you don't have it, you die, so people tend to work it out.
Yeah, they tend to figure things out, don't they? Well, it's a fascinating book, really a good read. Congratulations on the effort. Good luck at changing hands tonight, and thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We want to hear from you. Submit your questions, comments, and concerns via email at arizonahorizon@asu.edu.
The latest exhibition at the Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art is I Remember Not Remembering. It's an intimate look at the stories that bond families and features artists that use photographs or videos to tell their family stories. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Rob McJanet give us a first look.
It's not the sound that one expects in a contemporary art museum. But much of the new exhibition, I Remember Not Remembering, is unexpected. Curator Claire Carter says the artists made very conscious decisions when it came to presenting their artwork. Whether it was 16mm film,
the films were probably shot at silent film speed, 16 frames per second.
Disc photos from the 1980s, or slides.
But I think that many of them chose to remain true to those technologies because they help the audience remember what it is to have things past. So if everything had been translated into digital snapshots, it would very much situate us in the present. But remembering the way that the physicality of film and video and the fact that we used to hold our snapshots in our hands and place them into boxes, that's very much for the artists part of the meaning of the artwork.
I Remember Not Remembering is an investigation into how we tell our family history through photographs or videos.
The exhibition incorporates themes that are really true to all families: love, birth, death, trauma.
The artists borrow from family archives to tell the stories. In Larry Sultan's case, 30 years of 16mm film is shrunk down to 44 frames.
And for him, looking at the pictures are like looking at a distillation of the way that his parents wanted to write their own history of raising children in Southern California and building their house and going on vacations. It's really quite astonishing.
In a small viewing room is an installation by Janet Cardiff and George Burrs Miller.
We don't have any control over it.
It's an audio piece in which you have the artist team, which are also married, talking through and trying to recreate a story of a road trip of one of the artist's grandfather that he was making because he was trying to travel across country to cure an illness. And so it's an intimate conversation that you really get to sit in and listen to between two loved ones talking about and trying to remember or make up a history that they didn't experience themselves, but it's part of their family lore.
I decide with my cousin.
Walking through the exhibition leaves the viewer searching into their own memory bank, recounting family trips, celebrations, and other milestones. Perhaps the biggest draw in the collection is a video by avant-garde filmmaker Khalil Joseph. Joseph is best known for directing Beyoncé's concept album, Lemonade. Here he teams up with rapper Kendrick Lamar and creates a video based on his album, Good Kid, Mad City. Joseph has asked the film only be displayed in the gallery so we can only preview photographs.
And it borrows from 3 archives: Kendrick Lamar's family home videos, as well as contemporary footage of Compton, the neighborhood where Kendrick Lamar grew up, and also footage from television and news feeds surrounding the Rodney King acquittals and riots. It's an extraordinary, beautiful, beautiful film, and it's 2 screen projections, and we found that across generations people will respond to it.
People also respond to the deeply personal work of Hannah Wilke. The backstory is staggeringly heartbreaking. On the right, a photograph of Wilke's mother after a mastectomy. Wilke's self-portrait sits to the left as if she's protecting her mother. What Wilke did not know was that she herself had breast cancer in this photo. The disease would later claim her life. I Remember Not Remembering has been a labor of love for Carter, who's been working on the exhibition for 8 years. She hopes that it becomes a touchstone for visitors and creates a strong bond between generations.
And I hope that coming to this exhibition, people will use the opportunity to talk about those memories and people that we've lost and loved and people that we need to embrace and cherish more.
I Remember Not Remembering is on display until April 30th. For more information, visit smoka.org. Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, we'll discuss the impact of Neil Gorsuch being added to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we'll take you inside the rare book room at the Phoenix Burton Barr Library. That's at 5:30 and 10 Tuesday on Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.